Fear not, denizens. Parade is here, aka the new voice of freedom, aka Father, Sea and Son, aka King of the Core. I am here, none other than the host of the Celebration Canteen, Uncle Sheev on Twitch.tv, aka the Wizard of Oscars. He has unlimited, none other, Eli, Fan Awakens.
Good. I'm doing very good. I am so excited to talk about Andor, but I'm also a little conflicted here. Last week I gave it a 10. I gave it a 10. We changed our reviews to a 10, and there may be some conflict. But I'm so excited.
We
So
did.
excited.
We did
These
give.
episodes we did.
Yeah, we did. No, I
These
didn't
changed my
change
life.
it. I didn't change it. you changed it. I didn't change it. I did change my first set of episode reviews. But we're in this together. So if you changed it, we changed it. We're also doing.
You're right. You peer pressured me, and I conformed, and I gave it the 10.
Lies,
I peer pressured
deceptions.
myself.
Poor Gullet will tell us the truth.
No, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. We are also doing another late night after dark review. So we're a little loose, you know, we're a little kooky. We might not remember everything from these episodes, but we're here to talk about it because we enjoyed them so much. Leading into the final arc of Andor, we're gonna get 3 more episodes, and that's gonna be it. And maybe we'll do a little bit of not only will we do not predictions, but ratings, but maybe we'll do predictions of what may happen in this last 3 episodes. But before we get too far into it, make sure you are subscribed to the reigncore channel here, where me and he reviews. Also, his channel, the aforementioned the Fan Awakens channel, where he covers Celebration and other great Star Wars things. And also, it'll all be in the descriptions and the link tree where you can find our Instagrams and follow what we're posting. Super happy to have you. Old videos, because we're going to be doing a lot more. I still haven't done my Celebration recap because after Celebration, we just got into this.
Me either.
We're going to have to.
We're so behind.
We're going to have to go back and recap our Celebration experience. It's crazy because it just kind of like all just falls in. It went like Celebration, May the 4th, Andor, like all of it came at once. So we're going to have plenty of content coming forward. So make sure you guys subscribed and locked into that. But we are talking about Andor episode 7, 8, and 9.
7 through 9, yeah.
7, 8, and 9. And it starts out with the messenger. And usually ask Eli, say, Eli, hurt your feelings. What did you think about these 3 episodes? This arc. I would call it. We call it like the Gorman Massacre arc. What would we call this arc?
I would call it the Gorman Massacre arc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could probably come up with something, but yes, I would say so. How did I feel? I think that, not to overstate things, I think this changed me.
Really?
The man that I was before this week, not the man I am today before you.
Okay.
If you look, it may be hard on the screen if you're watching on your phone or something, but if you look in my eyes, last week and this week, different person.
Different person. Wow.
I thought it was a masterpiece. I thought it was actually a masterpiece. When I'm sitting there watching on the couch, I was transported, man. I haven't felt. I mean, I don't know the last time I felt this emotional during Star Wars. Certainly, probably for me was, I guess it would have been episode 9, but that was just because I was emotional that it was ending,
Yeah.
But this was like a different kind of thing. I thought it was masterfully done, from filmmaking aspect, writing aspect, like across the board. And they tackled, like, this felt like the buildup was paid off, right?
Yeah.
You think about,
100%.
I know we reference different shows a lot on these sometimes, or I do at least. You think about Game of Thrones, and sure, that's a lot more. There's more episodes there, but they build up to the White Walkers and things like that.
Actually, yeah, that's a great
And
point.
you don't get, it doesn't pay off the way that you kind of hope. But this, we built up to this Gorman Massacre, and it was everything I hoped for and more. So I came out of this on cloud 9. But let me ask you. You asked me to search my feelings. Parade, my friend, search your own. And how do you feel?
Hot take for you. It didn't change me in any way.
Oh man.
I
Oh
know.
man.
Isn't that like
Oh,
disappointing?
no.
The last episodes, 4, 5,
Yeah.
and 6, I thought was a 10 out of 10. I said that no
Yeah.
holds bar. I just 10 out of 10. I didn't think about it before, and I said, you know what? It's actually 10. This one to me is not a 10 out of 10. And I'm glad we do these reviews because we can talk it out. We can go back and find these points where maybe I missed something that you caught, or
Vice versa.
or
Yeah.
vice
Yep.
versa, right? You know, that happens a lot here, and and as we go on, I'm like, okay, maybe it was what it was. And I'm not saying it's not. I think
Sure.
for me, there was so much buildup. And okay, here's another thing I want to preface. I actually don't like when people tell me what their scores are or their reviews, even in a very brief description. So when you said,
Sure.
you messaged
Yeah.
me, you said masterpiece, I go, well, this has to be like the greatest thing I've ever seen. And so now my expectations are built up, and I think that
Sure.
clouds my perception. I probably should just go completely dark when I can't watch these things because it does
I
affect
get
me in
you.
that way. And that's me personally, right? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying
No,
if
I get you.
and if anyone else comes and says I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments because I would love that interaction, right? That's why we do these videos. But I was very late. I don't think I watched it. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I'm trying to remember exactly. But I watched it not the first night. And there was
Yeah.
enough people talking, uh, not specifically, but in that same way, we're like, this is episode 8 is crazy, right? And it
Yeah.
was crazy. But
Yep.
what else were you expecting from the Gourmet Massacre besides people just getting mowed down? Atrocious. But I was expecting that. I was expecting something a little bit more violent, and but that's on me. My expectations were,
Sure. Sure. I get
and
you.
it was
I mean, I
violent. It was violent,
usually we don't talk about how we feel about the episode until we get on here. I
right?
don't know why. I just thought you had seen it, and I mean, that's all I
And that's
said.
not
But
on you.
still,
That's not on you.
I
I
had
don't blame
I
you
had
at all.
seen so many things, like even before the season started, before we saw the first episode, from people, and not that I'm seeking it out, but I'd see like, oh, reaction, like,
Yeah.
oh, someone I follow is like, oh my gosh, there's a certain arc in this season that is just, it's
Mm-hmm.
incredible, blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when I'm watching, and I didn't know it was gonna be 7, 8, and 9
Yeah.
until like the day before it came out. I started seeing a bunch of people
Oh, okay.
talking about
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't. I think I watched it on Wednesday. No, I did watch it on Tuesday, I think.
I think you did
Either
because I
way,
think you messed. I think I watched it on
yeah,
Wednesday and
that
you
it
watched it.
was. Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I thought it was so tense, and the way they shot the actual massacre was so well
It
done. And you
was. It
see these
was.
lines finally cross, and yeah, like it was. But see, as far as like seeing everybody get mowed down, they could have just killed everybody in that square, and like that's
Yeah.
it. Like they are all there. They shoot them all dead.
Yeah.
Cassian somehow escapes, and they blame it on the Gormans. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, the
Yeah.
Gormans did it, but they just all they did was shoot and kill, like sort of like in episode 7 when they gather everybody up in the beginning and on Jakku, and
Uh-huh.
they just fire on them, and they just kill them all. But there was more than that.
Yeah.
We had some different things going on.
Sure.
But I am curious. What was your favorite part of these episodes, I guess,
These. Oh man. These 3.
Sure, yeah. What's something that stood out to you?
And I don't. I mean, I feel remiss talking about it now. But let me just preface: I don't hate these episodes, and I am gonna rate them
Fair.
highly. I just like
Sure.
the
The
the,
previous
the
3 more.
previous 3 more. Um,
Yeah.
because I think there's like a little bit more nuance and like more stuff going on narratively in that versus just the climax and the act. This is still great.
Sure, sure. No, I get you.
I really liked, think emotionally, Nick's leaving. Really what
Yeah.
got me. But I
Yeah.
really don't like jumping right into K2SO right there.
I get you.
To me, I was
I
like,
think that's my only, like, I agree, that's the only thing that I thought maybe could have gone differently, I guess, but it wasn't enough for me to, like,
we're down.
knock my enthusiasm down.
Sure.
But, yeah, I would agree with that. I
Because I
would
was like,
agree with
it
that. I
feels
think
like
the way that K2 happened.
such a big shift, right? And even not even to let that breathe a little of like big gone, we don't get. It's, oh, now his best friend's here. I'm like, oh, it kind of takes away from the moment, which we could. I wanted to sit in that a little bit longer because
Yeah,
Adria Arjona's performance there is fantastic.
fantastic. And I mean, we prepared her. I mean, I prepared myself for her to die,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
somehow this was worse. You know, somehow this is worse. Like, what do you do? I'm sitting there like, what are you doing to me? Like, I'm like, what is this? I'm watching it alone in the dark, and I'm looking around like, is the joke?
And even on second watch, it is just still as emotionally like
Yeah,
sad
it is.
and heartbreaking. Um, and it's great because on second watch, she already made that choice actually when like Vel comes in
Yeah,
to talk to her about it. Like the choice was already made, and uh, what was great, I didn't pick this up until the second time. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you this tea so you could sleep, like sleep deeper." So she could do the whole recording and leave without having to worry about him. Um,
yeah,
it's just so good. It was just so good. It was devastating. It leads into like gives more insight on Rogue One. You know, just and keeping him on the path, and even the scene when he talks to the Force healer, doesn't believe it, doesn't want to
yes,
be a part of
love
it,
that scene.
and this is that whole Bix arc here is he's like I have dreams, I'm feeling something, and you're feeling it too, and we can't ignore this. And he's trying to ignore it, and he's trying to just kind of like it's all a hoax. It's not real. Like
Yeah,
let's leave
it's
it
like
alone.
almost like denial. He doesn't want to believe it, you know, even though he I mean, he's clearly he doesn't wanna do it, and she picks him out, and what she calls him a gatherer, I believe,
Yeah,
like, she
yeah,
he is a gatherer, and I thought that, you know, she's like, "You saw something, I know it, you don't wanna say it," whatever
yeah.
the case is. I don't know, man, I think that it's just so sad, you know, when they're intersplicing him running, trying to get to her and her
Oh,
speech, and she's like, I'm choosing the rebellion for us," you know, and, "Oh, and I'll find you when this is over when we
oh,
win," and it's just, like, driving that stake into my heart deeper and deeper and deeper, and that really that was rough.
so
But so well because they could have killed her, you know, they could have just
got killed.
had her have some sort
Yeah,
of death on a mission. She could have been on Gorman. They could have done a million things. But instead they just like I thought that was more effective than just, some sort of death, especially when you look at Rogue One and obviously they never they never found each other. Um so that's pretty, that's pretty rough. As far as the K2 thing, I think that's so far that's the only real casualty of switching the format from a season a year for like a year's time
yeah.
to, 3 episodes, which, I guess it's fine. Like it's not something like, "Oh my god, did you see how they introduced K2?" But that's my one thing that's like it's all right. It's all right. They did me right with the other 3 hours, 2
Yeah,
hours and 40 minutes.
yeah.
So
I felt like the K2 thing is from these episodes the thing that's shoved in here, where it was like,
yeah, yeah, I
it
agree.
feels all kind of bad of like, oh, we need K2 in the show, so let's shove them in here. But going back to Bix's story, I wanted to touch on how he believes in the rebellion so much that she's willing to give up love, and happiness, and it's just that through line. Luthen, he's like, I don't have kinship, I don't have, I have shadows. It's like the ghosts.
Yeah.
It's like how much have I sacrificed? And we're watching these people sacrifice, and Bix making the choice, right? She's like, it's our choice. I'm making the choice for us. I'm like, she's still such a strong, unique character, even though most of the time she feels like she's sidelined in the story, right? She's
Yep.
not a part of the action, not a
Nope.
part of the rebellion in this way, where she's on these missions incognito, obviously like killing Gorse and stuff, but
Everything Cassian does though is like with Bix in mind, and so
right,
like she's still like a heavy presence in the show. But you're
yeah,
right, even without necessarily being active in the conflicts for the most part, um, and it's just when Cassian returns from the massacre and he's like, I'm ready, like I've made up my mind, I'm ready to leave, and she talks to you like, I know you mean that, and I know you meant it, and that's why because she believes that they talk to this Force healer and he has a bigger part of the story and
yeah,
I mean, how could he? But she believes it, and I'm sure that
yeah,
he knows it deep down. But what's that line he says? He's like, my only skill is that I'm lucky,"
Yeah,
or
and he
what's
said,
that
"My
line
luck's
is,
about
and
to run out." He goes, "I feel
yeah,
like
I've
it's about to
already
run out." Yeah.
yeah, I've already overspent my luck.
Yes. Yes.
And man, that's like you are more than that, but I understand that feeling. Like, he's not a Jedi, he's not like using the Force and things. He's narrowly getting out of it. Even with Cyril, like I don't know how he won that fight, by the way. He won that fight. He won that fight, and then that grenade and the blaster fire. Cyril also low key, I think he's doing a lot of calisthenics this time. He got some strength in
Oh
that
yeah, and we'll get to that.
under
We'll get
that
to
white
that.
tee. But yes,
I
that's a
don't
whole
want to
nother
jump too
story.
far
Whole
because I
nother
still want to
story.
talk about this really quick.
But yes,
I know people didn't
yes,
like that force healer thing. I feel like again, this is some of my favorite parts of Andor's like this nuance, right? We're
I
introducing
agree.
the force. We don't get that too much in this show. Right? It leans more into
Yep.
Rogue One with the Guardians of the Wills and Ben's character Groot and all that days. But here we're actually getting a force and like a taste of what it is. And I like how they were like
Mhm.
the force healer doesn't even really know what's going on
I
with
love
her
that too.
powers. It's like I love how like she picks him out and she's like, I feel like I'm supposed to meet you. Like it's just drawing and connecting these people together, very similar to how the force is taught in the original trilogy. Around us, it surrounds us, it binds us. Versus, oh, her midichlorian count's high. Oh, your midichlorian count might be high too, Cassian. It's like
Yeah.
we know where his story ends, right? We see the end in Rogue One, and I love how they tie that in as like destined. It's like you're
Yep.
destined to do something great in this rebellion. It's gonna all these dominoes are falling, and it's gonna to here. So even though we know the end, I love how they kind of turn the story into something beautiful like that, which affects characters passing in his life. The gathering thing was so cool because that's his strength. Like he's actually learning and taking things from all these people that he's gone through in his life. Marva, Nemec, the bellhop at Gorman. He said
Yep.
he says I hope you. He says something to the lines of I hope.
But I
Uh,
hope you like make it out of this okay,
and
basically.
then the kid says rebellions are built on hope. I do feel like it's a little cheesy, but it's kind of on the nose. But I'm like, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. I don't think it was as impactful as I think they wanted it to be, in my opinion. But it is what it is. But it still doesn't still lends to the fact that I love the description of how Cassian is going through this and finding strength through all these people that he's meeting, gathering, and even inspiring the healer. She says thank you to him. Like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You healed me and you're saying thank you. It was weird. Um, but that I love the mystery of the force to these people. They don't know what it's going on. I don't even know if they say force healer, but they don't say like the power is. I thought that was really
Yeah. It's an interesting thing too, because I thought about that with her thanking him. And, when she's talking to Cassian and Bick, she's like, it doesn't always work. I don't even know, when it is going to work or not. But I mean, the way I took it was when she's, touched Cassian and spoke to him, like she felt something. And that's sort of like, I guess it probably I just the way I took it is like she felt something and it sort of strengthens the idea that no, there is something here. It's not just I'm not just crazy, I'm not just touching people on their wounds
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
saying witchcraft. Like there
Right,
is
right.
something more here and I can feel this connection. Which is just I do love that. And even with like Chirrut in Rogue One, they easily could have put a Jedi in there, like, oh,
Right.
yep, this is a Jedi who survived.
Yeah, yeah,
But he wasn't, and maybe he would have been in another, in another situation.
yeah.
But he's still using the Force in a way that similar to the Jedi's with the combat and all. But there's more to it with that. With the Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force, and I do like the way that they use it in this as well.
I think that's gonna be this force healer thing is gonna be clipped out so many times and interpreted so many different ways. I think it's
I'm
gonna be
sure it will be.
awesome. Like eventually seeing this small, very, very NPC like character entering into this man's life and for the audience to go back to him like, oh yeah, that line she said in this movie and it's tying into this and that. And, like I think that's what's gonna
Yeah,
happen with that clip. But my question to you is Bix and Cassian force sensitive?
Force is in all things. Sensitive. Hey, if Sabine can become a Jedi, I think that there's a chance
Mm.
they have anyone has some sensitivity, whether
Sure.
it's like, you can feel it or not. Like maybe it's so low that you don't
Yeah.
particularly feel it, but I don't know. I if it's like force sensitive in the sense of like, oh, they could have been found by the Jedi and became a Jedi, I don't think so.
Oh, no.
But I think that maybe they have, maybe I wouldn't say force sensitive. I don't think that Cassian can like tap into like the force in the same way that
Sure.
the force healer even can.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do think that you can share that in a way like if the force when the force healer healed him, I do think that he felt the force, in
Yeah.
that moment. Um what do you think?
I think it's gonna be up to interpretation. Um,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily people are gonna use what Bix said as, "Oh, she's force sensitive, thus, you know, maybe
sure.
if she was trained or whatever." I wouldn't go that far. I like it being a more grounded story, but if someone wants to feel that way, sure. But I don't think necessarily she's at like close to being trained at a Jedi temple to be.
And that's something that I don't like. I don't hate the idea though that you can be in tune with the force, but not necessarily on the same level that you would need to be like a skilled Jedi.
Sure.
Like you could just like the healer. I don't know what her abilities are or her
Yeah,
capabilities, but
yeah.
maybe that was never in the cards, but it's sort of like, oh, maybe this the broom kid, maybe he could just do that. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
he doesn't have visions, he doesn't have like, but I can grab that broom from 5 feet away if you need me to. So I do like I don't hate if like, oh, in a book one day they say that Bix has had visions in her sleep. I mean, she did have visions.
Yeah, she's
That was
yeah,
probably
with the drugs and
partially, I don't know if
stuff.
that was, but I mean, what's the difference between that and what Anakin,
Yeah,
so maybe there's some sort of like, oh, you're a little force sensitive.
yeah.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, maybe similar to a person like, oh, I feel my bones like there's a storm coming, you know?
Yeah,
Or I ate too much
exactly.
sugar, I can't hurt my teeth.
Like we don't need to see like a comic where Bix and Ray meet up and she's old and she's like you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah,
don't need anything like that, or like she meets Luke and they train or something. We don't need that. But
yeah. Because
I
even
don't know.
characters like Han Solo has intuition, like,
Sure, yeah.
as a
Like Poe
pilot.
Dameron, the way he flies that
Yeah, yeah.
X-wing. You gotta have something there, right?
If he
Just a
says,
little,
"Oh, I just
a
get
little.
this feeling," like we're not gonna, oh, he's force sensitive, right? Like we're not gonna go
Yeah,
that far.
yeah.
But if people want to interpret it that way, or if we get stuff later on, but I was just curious if you go, "Oh yeah." Um,
Yeah,
but I thought it was cool. I think people will. I think initially people didn't like the force healing thing because I think you think of like, oh, Grogu and Ray and everyone can force heal, but I like the way they used it here in this part, and or like if we're gonna get any force, I like the
same.
more interpretation. What about you? What was your favorite uh scene or part of this 3 arc?
Sure. I honestly think it's probably the same,
Okay.
just because but that was the moment that really, really, really like hits you emotionally, and I
Mm-hmm.
love I love that when Bix did leave in that whole moment. But that's obviously built from the whole season.
Yeah.
Um, as far as like episode 8, though, for the most part, um, yeah, that whole episode I thought was fantastic, man. I mean, I loved the battle of it. It's because it's like the payoff episode, you know?
Yeah.
You build up all
Yeah.
season, and then you get to the Avengers, you watch the other MCU movies and you get to the Avengers and I'm in. I know it's just some people with blasters and stuff, but
Yeah.
like it's just you finally see these threads that have been sort of weaving here and there, crossing paths,
Mm-hmm.
and they finally come to a head. I thought the Cyril moment was excellent when he's about to presumably shoot Cassian
Mm.
when they have their fight. I
Yeah.
just Cyril's arc in general I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Just because he's sent to Gorman to find the external agitator essentially,
Yeah.
and he was the external agitator. He's being played like a puppet,
Oh, interesting.
which
I didn't get that I didn't interpret it that way. But okay.
yeah, because he was the one that was sent in and feeding everyone information and deceit and convincing
Hey.
them to, rebel essentially. And so he thought he was there to find essentially himself, which he's
Wow.
chasing his own tail, and
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
set on
yeah.
that by Daedra. the love of his life and the,
Wow.
one person, which that was like, I was like, man, that's incredible.
That is incredible.
Um,
I didn't actually didn't pick that up. That has that actually is incredible because it still
and I'm
leans
like,
into the question of who are you, right? That whole
exactly,
theme,
exactly.
and again, mom saying, "Hey, they're just using you," right?
Yes,
And he's like, in his mind, he's like, "Oh yeah, I know he's using you, but I'm doing it for the good of the Empire, the ISB, for the love of Daedra." And everyone then hearing these episodes telling him he's a fool, like you idiot.
yes, yes. And hey, Cyril, hey, he's been in the gym, man. I mean, he doesn't look like it, but he was showing off some strength in this episode. He
He got some
threw
strength,
the,
yeah.
across the pavilion. But my thing is like, he's starting. Everybody's gathering, right? Cassian is talking to Wellman. He's like, he spots it immediately. He's like, they're not opening it up. They're not. They're building a fortress.
Fortress, yeah,
This is, and the thing with Cyril that's so interesting to me is just, he has this relationship with Daedra, and he was obsessed with her. It seemed, and I think he was,
hmm,
but I think he was more obsessed with the idea of who she is and who he could be, and
yeah.
being someone that when he, realized what was happening and confronted her, it wasn't like, I think he immediately just understood, like, I was a fool this whole time, and she's not at all who I thought she was, because he thought she was a good person doing like good by the Empire,
Yeah.
which I mean in their eyes she was.
Or good by the
But
or what I brought up last week is good by the people. I brought up the point
good
where
by the people. Yep.
he I said I don't think he thinks the Gormans are actually bad
No.
people, which
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
right about because he's like
You were.
he was like, "Oh, my sources are telling me, this and that," and there is some kind of relationship with him in the Gorman front, right? Because you don't just get slapped for being a rat, right? And because he
Yeah.
was like, I'm glad he says I'm glad I found you, or glad I he says something to I think her name's like Adina or Zena.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm right here. I'm like, oh, did you guys have like some kind of relationship? Because she slaps him in the face, and I'm like, oh man, I wish we saw. And that's one thing I wish the show would have gave us more seasons. I would have loved to see a full season of Gorman, right? Game of Thrones style. Gorman from top to bottom, all the way up to the massacre, being like kind of the penultimate or the
Of course.
climax of the season, right? And getting like a 12 arc, but that's not what we have. But I like also trying to interpret what might have happened, what Cyril might have gone, because he does change in this.
Yeah.
Um,
He does.
but another great theme of these episodes, these ones specifically, all the way leading up into Mon Mothma's speech, is all about truth, right? So everyone
Yes.
is finally, the truth is being revealed. The Empire's not hiding what they're doing. We're mining here. Dedrick can't lie to Cyril about it. He's like, "What are we doing here?" He goes, "If you tell me it's a rumor, I will throw you out of this
Yes.
window,"
Oh my
which
gosh.
was
I was like,
crazy.
whoa. I
Yeah.
mean, he's like, I mean, the way you think about like when you, I don't know, I don't have experience in this, but he's like, he's just squeezing her shoulders.
Yeah,
I'm like,
she's
oh
like,
my gosh,
"Cyril, you're
that's
hurting
some
me."
real, that's some real hate. That's some real pain. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and just the way I wish I knew the actress name plays Dedra. She plays that so great. I really think he's choking
Excellent.
her as a
Yes.
audience member watching it. I'm like, he puts his hands on her, and she is acting like she is in actual physical pain. And even him putting wrapping, I was like, his hands are so big, like wrapping around her neck. I'm like,
Denise Go. Denise Go.
she's amazing. She's like one
She's
of the
excellent.
standout, and that's why I love what, like I said in previous reviews, I really like these two on screen. It's not
Yeah.
because they're weird, but it's because they believe in things larger than themselves, and they're willing to play these pawn roles to get what they think, what they want, right? Like
Yeah.
she's even telling Cyril, and I think she's being honest, we will get everything we want, we'll be happy, we're gonna get out of this. Well, at what
Yep.
cost is what Cyril's thinking, because he's using him and he's feeling being used. And then I love the line, and I think is easily missed. She kisses him. She's like, "Go to the house, get your stuff ready. I'll tell you when we leave." Right? And
Yeah.
she goes, kisses him, and she goes, "Be careful." And he goes, "Me?"
Yeah.
And it's just like, should I be careful? Or should you be careful?
It's
Like, it's so
that,
good.
and I'm glad you went back to there too, because there's another line she says where when she's like all excited, she's like, We're gonna get rewarded or whatever for everything we've done." He's like, "What have we done? Like, what have we done?" And that was where it's like, oh, you know, like, you have no idea. But
Yeah.
and you have to wonder, like, I mean, you have to wonder if she was upfront with him from the beginning, like, he probably who knows? I mean, I don't know what from the very beginning, before he went to Gorman, before he met the people, before anything, I'm sure she could have convinced him of something.
Hmm.
I'm sure that she could have convinced him of something, you know?
She tells him
If you have him.
oh, sorry, continue.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
She
No,
was
you're good.
like, well, you love the promotions though. So
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
I'm pretty sure they're like, oh, there's a promotion. Go to Gorman. And hey, while you're there, maybe you could find these outside agitators. Like, I feel like that would be the conversation that happened. And like,
Yeah,
oh, you'll report to my leader, Partagast, and it's ISB work. And, you'll be like feeding off of the same theme that she said to her assistant from season 1. She's like, you'll get all the
mhm.
glory. She's willing to give Cyril the glory to get what she wants. But it's all for not because she's telling him the truth.
I know
Simon.
her supervisor made sure to make sure Cyril didn't know, you know? He can't know what we're really doing, but, they would've they would've, and I'm sure they would've enjoyed life after, but it just shows that, yeah, he's not. I think that she hoped that he would understand, uh, and he's certainly not the person she's not the person he thought she was, and feeling played and feeling like a fool, and, he was there for years.
Yeah.
So he really, I think he got attached to the people, and
Yeah.
obviously he didn't think that was happening. And so when he did leave, I do love that they didn't have like Daedra go off the deep end, like, just, oh, Cyril's gone, whatever. She was still worried about him, and
Yeah.
she wanted them to get him back inside no
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
what. Um,
She knew it was gonna
yeah, she knew it was
happen.
gonna
She's like,
happen,
ooh.
but it wasn't like, oh, well, Cyril doesn't see the way of the empire, then oh, well,
And
you
then
know what I
he's dead.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. I love that
Yeah.
she like I think she really genuinely cares about him.
I agree. Yeah,
Like
I
vice
mean,
versa.
she's the only person we see that she gets emotional with to a degree, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
we see what happens at when she realizes his fate, which is
Love
another
that.
excellent scene.
Yeah.
But once the things start going off, he's out there, just uh, he's lost it,
Yeah.
and Cassian gets his shot lined up again. He's there. He knows what she did to Bix, and so he's out there willing to sit through this massacre just to take her out,
Yeah.
Um, and then Cyril sees him, and
Oh,
he
dude,
just,
it's so good.
oh my gosh, when he rushes him, and that fight just is very visceral,
It is.
And I like how they lock into that room. It's not like there's not a lot. It's them two in a room throwing hands.
Yeah.
We've been building up to this. We didn't know how it was gonna go when they confront each other,
Yeah.
and it was just this massive fight. And I love it. I mean, Cyril's already having this crisis. Who is Daedra? Who am I?
Right.
And he manages to get the upper hand on Cassian by some sheer luck, and and that line just hits you like a ton of bricks. Who are you? And Cyril, he lowers his gun. He's dumb. He doesn't even know what to think, and then of course
Yeah.
he
It's so
gets.
great because it's from season 1, he has been obsessing over Cassian Andor, looking at his face in his room, who tore down his life as a cop on Morlana, right? And like he can't catch
Yep.
him. He's trying to find him. The least access, it's like his uh like the trophy, right? The peak. He finally has his moment to get this guy. And then this dude doesn't even know who you are. And he's like,
No idea.
what? Like just shatters him even more into a million pieces. Even
Like, this is my arch rival that I,
and
you
he doesn't
know.
even know that you guys are rivals. It's awful, right? It's awful.
Yeah,
And it's it's so masterfully done, right? So
it is.
even the question, like I've had people ask, like, would Cyril be a good guy? Would he turn to the rebellion? I think what this whole arc is also showing is people have gone too far, right? Dedra has gone too far, right?
Yep.
The captain, Kaidu, he's like, I'm the trigger, you're the finger. This is on you. This is your thing. Gorman's your thing, right? We've already established that from the first few episodes. Cyril's gone too far, right? Everybody, it's even the Gormans, they've gone too far to some
Hmm.
extent. And Rylands is begging the people not to go down there. He's like, it's a trap.
Yeah,
Please don't. This is everything's falling into the place for the Empire in this way, and it's just too late for everybody, which is also a beautiful thing to to get to. I mean, outside massacre, I mean written way everything our laps here. But
And
oh, go
yeah, go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go. No, you got.
I was just gonna say I love the actual massacre scene sequence. One, because I
Mm,
mean it just feels very real and tapped in and grounded,
yeah,
and the way they start it by, shooting one of their own, and that's excellent. you know, um, and they don't really they start shooting, but there's so much going on during the fight where you could just do battle clash and oh it's people fighting, but it's not that. You have the stress of Daedra wanting to get Cyril safe. You have
yeah.
Cyril who's out of it, and I do wonder, like, okay, if Cyril would have found Cassian before this or in a different way, and
Mm,
Cassian asked, "Who are you?" I
mm.
think that Cyril, in a more clear mind, would have like had this snarky,
Oh,
like, "Oh,
sure.
you don't remember who I am? Well, guess what? I was this guy when you held me at gunpoint," and like gone
Yeah.
down the super villain list of like when they don't know you or the hero. Sometimes it's like
Sure,
with a villain, whatever the
sure.
case.
He's like, I'm
But that
the
wasn't the
man
case.
who's known everything in the shadows who've been chasing you. Like he'd have like this whole super villain speech.
Yes,
Yeah,
it still
yeah,
probably would have pissed him off, but it would have been different, but
yeah.
he at this time with what's happened, and oh, it's just like I don't I don't know what he would it's incredible. I just love all the through lines that are happening while the massacre is going on. Um so that was something that I enjoyed because it could have just been a, gunfight.
I
And
just came to the realization it is still parallel with Dedra and Cyril's relationship and Bix and Cassian's relationship,
it's
where
true.
it's love loss. It is
Yeah.
for both of them a higher cause. Dedra with the Empire, Bix with the Rebellion, and these two casualties of Cyril and and Cassian losing love and how they're going about
Yeah.
going through it in their lives. I mean, Cyril is gone. It's the parallels between those two
I'm
throughout.
not forgot.
Oh, good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
It's so
It's written
good.
so well,
And even
dude.
like you have yeah, it's so good. And we also have to talk about something they've done since season 1 so well. Music and these chants, you think of, oh, One Way Out and at Rick's Road, and now you
Mhm.
have, We Are the Gore, and they start singing the song, and like it's so good. The music swells very well through it, until obviously the crescendo of the battle
I'm
beginning.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care about them. I don't care about the Corbins. I think that's also what like yeah, like yeah, let's get rid of them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think because they paint them as naive at the beginning, right? And they're not really cohesive. Very similar to the Yavin, the Yavin rebels. Yeah,
Sure.
we're gonna have to crack a few eggs right to get to where we need to go. The Gormans are here on this path. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to take you out like a casualty in this story. So I think it's hard for me to sympathize with them on that level because they've been making a lot of mistakes, especially like of Cinta, and they're not really they're going right into the trap. It's like yeah,
I mean, for me though, it's not necessarily the Gormans themselves are like, oh man, the gore has fallen, has fallen necessarily. But I do think that it shows very well how easily it is for like how the Empire does what they do, and but then
that's a
they
good point.
implant characters that we do care about in the battle. So that's why, you kind of do still feel stakes, even though like when Wilmon left, I'm like, oh man, come on, don't stay behind. And I know we've talked about this, but I'm like, come on, Big Will.
Wilmot
Um,
can't help but find these ladies out here. Got to save them all. You can't save them,
you
woman. You can't save them.
can't help it. Can't help it. I mean, I understand, I understand, but I thought I'm like, no, Wilmon, don't go back. But he ended up making it out,
Yeah, he made it out.
barely,
Surprisingly,
barely.
they got me on that one because they're like,
They did.
"Is he in
Me
the
too.
back?" And I'm like, "Who? Luthen?" Like, goes,
That's
who's
what
back
I was
here?
like. Who's back there?
Yeah.
Also, with the gore stuff though, yeah, I was very into it, and I ate all of that up.
Yeah.
Especially I know we'll skip ahead a little bit, but once we get that scene with Dedra in her lonesome, reeling from
Mm,
the battle and the loss of
yeah.
Cyril, that scene was excellent.
Oh yeah, her
That scene was
pulling her
excellent. She's
thing
so
and trying
good.
to like, oh, I can't breathe. Like you feel all of those emotions, like anxiety, the stress. I even like even the small portion she has with Partagast, where he's like, I don't know if it's intentional. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I kept you waiting." Like, I don't know if that's like a power move. Like, "Oh, sorry, sorry I was late."
Yeah.
You know, and then she's like getting not emotional, but she's charged, and he's like, "Dedra, calmly." He'll say stuff like that to her, and she has to like put her
Yeah.
hands behind her back, compose herself, and then continue. Right? I was like, dude, this is just those little things that they use with her and Partagast, and like, hey, this stuff is in motion. Like, we're gonna get that dirt, regardless of the Gormans or not. This is all in motion. Um, but one thing you
I
touched
hope she
on.
blows up from this role. But go ahead.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I think she's even great. A great personality in interviews. Like, she's fun. She's very charming. I
Yeah, I
really.
agree.
Um, I also like, to your point, the propaganda that they do with the Empire.
Love it.
Um, and like curfews and just kind of suppressing, right? The Partagast has a line. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm bad at line for line.
Sure.
But he says a line, and then it cuts to the news reporters, and they say the exact same line. It
Yes.
was like something to the lines of imperial norms. Like, the Gormans can't uh, align themselves with like imperial norms. Thus, they're uprising, they're blowing things up, even though everyone's like, the Empire is blowing up their own stuff just to make it look like it's Gorman resist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, the propaganda stuff they show is excellent. When they have the TV crew in the plaza right before, when the massacre is about to happen and they're just spewing the
Yeah.
the imperial script
Mm-hmm.
basically. These Gormans are, having this massive
Animals.
yeah, animal on violent protests and,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
um
crazy.
it is crazy. And you just think like I mean, that's happening around the galaxy where it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just so easy. It's so easy to, and it's not, you know, in the beginning in the last arc, Cassian's telling him when we've talked about it last week, but when they were telling, oh, we have an informant, oh, we can trust him. He's like, that's what they do. He tells him that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they're not these seasoned people. They're believing who they can. I mean, to be fair, they vetted him, they staked him out, they watched him, but the Empire was a step ahead, and they're feeding them everything they wanted to see. I mean, they even kept Cyril in the dark.
Yeah.
So it was some expert espionage
Oh,
going on
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
There was one other Easter egg that Partagast drops, is he goes, Krennic has a lab in you or yeah, working overtime all
yeah,
year, and that's where Galen Erso's working on the Death Star stuff
yeah,
with those other scientists. I was like, oh, that was cool. Um, and then I really like this the confusion why the what do they call them, a crisis specialist? I think that's what they
yeah.
call Captain I do. And he's
I
like,
believe
oh, they're
so.
bringing in like boys. And I'm like, why are they doing that? And then I'm like, oh, they're gonna
Uh,
let. I was like, oh, I get it. And I like that there was I didn't expect it, but there was like a sniper on the roof, which um Cassian was trying to snipe, Dedra,
yep.
and it's cool because they even make it. The tension is so good. All up leads up to that the Gorman massacre. It's like all the people you mentioned it. All the people are converging, and we know that something bad's gonna happen. And it is tension. There's still tension. Even watching it the second time, I'm like, oh, this tension is still really high. Like, people are here. Cassian and Cyril like pass each other on the stairs, which is also
Yes.
cool. Um, and the sniper's looking at different people, and then the way they angle it, the way they have it framed, is he could be looking at a soldier or he can be looking at a civilian, a Gorman civilian to shoot.
Yeah.
It could have went either way, but he takes a shot at the young Imperial dudes, and then that's when all hell breaks loose. It was just like so well
So
executed.
yeah, I mean, he shoots the Imperial, and then they shoot the guy on the
Memorial,
statue, on the
yeah,
memorial.
yeah,
Yep. And then it goes, and even shout out to our bellhop front of desk guy with the old imploder there.
yeah. Does he
But
sacrifice himself? Is he gets
I
blown up
don't
in
know actually. Even on my second watch, I'm not sure. I
because he's
didn't
behind the
specifically look for
desk.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think that explosion would have killed him,
Mm-mm.
but I don't know if he lived or not.
Yeah. Because even I would say he could possibly could, because I feel like that detonator Cyril took, he still got up from it.
Yes, he took that blast direct, pretty
Yeah, it was like
much.
right outside that
That
window.
shock made him fly.
Yeah, yeah. And he got up from it. So I'm like, maybe,
He did.
maybe. I thought that was cool too, because in the on second watch, the conversation between the bellhop and Cassian, he's going by a different name, going by a reporter named
Yeah,
Guja, something Guja. And I'm like, you were here as
and he yep.
of Varian Sky. Like, really? You're just gonna walk in, no disguise or anything? People are just gonna forget. And he did remember, because he's like, put you in this specific room. I didn't log you in. You know, you don't worry about it.
My question though is, the way I took it is I think he knows that Cassian was coming,
Oh, yep,
maybe.
yeah.
Because, like, if you know what I mean? Like,
The
it seems
Gormans
like
did
he
have eyes on everything.
but still, like, I did like that scene when he goes down there and, he does recognize him, he knows who he is and everything, and
Oh, because
he's a real one.
he does say, I can't bring your bags up this time, and
Yep.
you've been there before, so he does know exactly. But I was like, that's kind of weird. You wouldn't remember to come in a different guise, or on Variant
I mean, if
Sky
he
in this other one,
wasn't dressed the same,
right?
and he was a little scruffy, but still, yeah, yeah, I mean
I was like, a little hiccup, but I mean, they are going on this mission on their own. It's
Yep,
like emotionally charged,
it is.
but
And I don't think they plan on sticking around. He knew that, like, Cassian was under the impression they're gonna report him. He's gonna try and
mm,
get that shot and get out, you
oh,
know?
right, right,
Like,
yeah, because they talk about
because
like where
he's
we're
like,
gonna
"She will
meet.
report you."
Yeah, that makes sense. I really liked episode 9.
Yeah, I loved episode 9 too. I
Felt
love
like
episode
the
9.
most Jason Bourne episode. So cool.
I see everyone on Twitter saying they love episode 9. I'm like, "What happened? You guys turned around." No, it did feel
This one, what
yeah, it
was
did feel
the
very Jason Bourne.
yeah, what was this one called? I know the first one's called A Messenger. The second one's called Who Are You?
It
I don't
is
know. Remember the third
called
episode.
one moment.
But finally see Luthen again. We get a ton of Mon Mothma. Very Mon Mothma eccentric episode. I love the conversation Luthen had with Mon. And I really like the fact that they mentioned Tay Kolma, and she says, friend, he was a childhood friend. Never a romantic thing that people started putting on Mon Mothma. I was like, I don't think it was ever romantic. They mentioned
No,
like, oh,
yeah.
he's your boyfriend, but she was like, he was my confidant. Like he got me out of this whole.
I do get it though, like, I feel like a lot of people probably did assume they had something there because
Yeah,
maybe some people because they spent all this time together more, and
sure.
she's always you know what I mean? I feel like, "Oh, maybe it could be some little rumor," or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't mean like real people, I mean like in
in
world, like
world. Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
some people yeah. But yeah, I love yeah, the Mon Mothma episode really excellent. Excellent stuff.
Uh, the I love the Jason Bourne stuff, like having three quote unquote rebels. Then there's one in there. Luthen says, "Hey, you can't trust him." If you're paying attention, he mentions that, and not even Luthen, but the other characters throughout ISB say Young put his agent in there, which is Lonnie. So
Yeah.
Lonnie knows. Lonnie put an agent in there, and what I realized was he put a really bad agent in there because she was really bad at what she was doing. She's like trying to
Yeah.
call in like randomly when the other dude's like getting the guns or whatever. And he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Nothing." Like, oh,
Also, real quick, it's called Welcome to the Rebellion.
that's right. Um, and so I really like that. Like, because even out of the three, I was like, I don't know who the bad guy is. I don't know who of the three. I'm gonna play this game of like
Yep.
which one is actually the ASB traitor. And they it comes out pretty clearly. And then she even tells, "Hey, where's the other dude?" And he goes, "You were with him." And she's like, "Oh, I lost." Like she's like really bad at
Yeah,
her
yeah.
job. Even trying to arrest Mon Mothma right there, pulled the gun on everybody else, and then she gets
Yep.
shot. Uh, you could tell the difference of who's good at their jobs and who's not.
Absolutely. I also think this episode in particular, I mean, they really finally, not finally, but Mon Mothma obviously gets to shine in this episode. But I love going back to what you said when Mon Mothma goes to practice her speech outside and Luthen knows to find her there. That scene is excellent, and it broke my heart, because she asked, "How do you know me here? I was gonna be here," and say, "Oh well, your boy's on my dime,"
Yeah.
basically.
Erskine.
And at that point, it's yeah, Erskine. It's really like she has nobody that she can trust, and like you said, going back to Tay, um, I mean, it's a heartbreaking thing when she's like, "You're the person I'm scared of most. You decided my dear childhood friend was had to die so quickly
Yeah.
on a whim.
On a
You
whim.
just
Yeah.
decided, oh, he might be,
Hmm.
a loose end. Kill him. Don't even give it a chance." Why then would she trust him
Yeah.
when she is in probably a worse situation as far as what she knows?
Hmm.
Um, and he's telling her, "You have to go with my person." That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And then she's put in this spot where, I mean, she's told she can't trust Bale's people, and she can't trust Luthen. She can't trust the people closest to her. She's about to leave her family, and so it's just like, man, she really gave up, everything for this. In I don't know, it's really tough, going through it, and I feel that emotion. I feel the stress, and she can't trust her driver. She knows he's a plant. Like, man, there's not a single person in her life. Maybe her sister, but she's not around right now,
Her cousin.
or her
Cousin.
cousin,
Yeah.
cousin,
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe her cousin, Vel,
Yeah.
but that's like, it's a really tough spot, and even when she talks to Bale, by the way, killed it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Um.
I know it.
Benjamin
Benjamin Bratt.
Rat.
Yeah, I thought he was excellent as Bale.
Yeah. He did a good job.
Obviously, we'd love to see Jimmy Smits, but I thought he was very good in that role.
Hmm.
But when she talks to him, she, has Luthen in her ear a bit, and she's like, "Who are these people you have
Yeah.
picking me up? Do you know them personally?" He's
He's
like,
like,
"Of course
no.
not. I can't know. I can't." And it's like, oh man,
I
what do you
even
do?
I even like the scene where she walks back into the apartment and quote unquote confronts Eskrin, and she's like, "How
Yeah,
long have you been working for him?" Since the wedding. And she like turns her back and she's like, "You're dismissed immediately." And in
yep,
his voice, like he's like, "I've been trying to protect you this whole time, right?" And she's like, "You failed, you failed at it because I can't trust you, right?" And he's like, "It's been an honor." Like I was like, "Oh, dude, it breaks my heart because I'm like, I
yeah,
don't really
it
like you. Like,
does.
who cares? He's a side character. Obviously, he's in like Rebels and stuff, and he's an important part.
Sure.
But just like you understand the relationship, like he's her assistant and quote unquote guardian, right? Like I love how Luthen says like you don't even know the things that he's done
The
to
things
protect you,
yeah,
right?
excellent stuff.
So cool. Um, and speech is great. Even the punch in the speech, monster that's gonna come for you, come for us all. Name
Yeah, the
drops
speech
it.
is excellent. The
So
speech is
good.
excellent. I read somewhere, and I need to fact check this, a grain of salt here, but I
Hmm.
read that they did have conversations about, the rebels thing, and like Mon Moth breaking up the speech, or whatever, but that Genevieve was pushed for, a full speech there.
Yeah,
But I thought it was so well done, and it's very emotional, and just the way that it ends. I mean, name dropping the Emperor
so
specifically,
cool.
it's so good. And I mean, we can go through that whole speech, but it's excellent. They're speaking about, the death. What is it? The death of truth, or the absence of truth is defeat, and then just knowing that. And I love that Bale opens up using essentially a loophole. Like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is the imperial. Like, this is approved by the Empire. This is imperial, rule, and he passes on to Mon Mothma
Yeah, it's like
on
you can't
essentially like a
interrupt it.
technicality.
You can't interrupt it. You got to hear the whole thing out. Yeah.
And even like the ways that they've sort of set things in place to not let it get shut off,
Yeah.
with the door being fixed,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
More of
been broken through them.
Luthen's like
Like, fully
little
mixed.
pawns
Yes,
in place. Yeah.
which is very good. And then of course we climax to the point of Cassian finally meeting
Yeah.
Mon Mothma.
So cool.
What do you think of that?
I love that. I mean, he leaves. He said there's going to be a guy that I can trust who's going to pick you up. And then even the choice of her walking out and Cassian just going like, I have friends everywhere. He's like, hey, I was at Gorman Plaza yesterday. I know Vel. She's on Yavin. And it's like Luthen I can't trust Luthen either. Like
Yeah.
he's been screwing us of all of us all, and it sucks. I love that, and even them going through I forgot what they call it, like the Senate area, trying to get out.
Sure.
Again, feels very Jason Bourne.
It
Um,
does.
and the scene with Cloris, even Cloris
I
is like
love
that
that so
tension of that him like I got to do something, got to do something. I'm ISB, I'm ISB, and he's like, who is that? She's like, that's my driver, but he's ISB,
so
and
good.
Cassian going, hey Cloris, I found her. And he's like, oh, who are? Boom, and just blows him away, right? And just
Yep.
and she's shocked. She's shocked
She
by
is.
this murder, right? Just like just
Yeah,
killing
I mean,
somebody,
shoot
and
first and then yeah.
it's welcome to the rebellion. Like this is how it is. This is how it is on the front
Yep.
lines. This is how it is. This is what we've been doing. Can't hide from it anymore. Again, more truth coming out to Mon Mothma, right?
Yeah.
What the whole and what's great is that could have been an easy stopping point, but it continues. It still continues the moment when they're in the apartment and she's like, "Been here before. How do I thank you?" Also
Make
great,
it worth it. Yeah.
worth it. Um, so much good.
That kind
Even
of goes even goes back to like Bix, in a way when she's like, I she told him, if we're gonna do this, I want to win. I want it to be worth it, I want it. And so like it just it's so good.
um, and then going back to it just reminded me of Clea and the conversation they have in the gallery. And she's like, "Oh, what? You want to go to bed? You tired? You want to give up?" Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah, I
want to know
mean,
more about this Clea character, man. I want to know so much about her. I want to know what her motivation.
even like real quick before he left to go, like to escort Mon Mothma, when Clea and Andor had a moment in the apartment, I believe, when she's sort
Oh
of
yeah,
questioning him, and he's like, when have I ever let you down?
that's true. Yeah,
And they have that moment too, but she's as integral to all of this as anyone,
yeah.
and that thing this thing would have fallen apart long ago if not for Clea. But um, Mon Mothma's in this tough spot. Can't trust anyone. They get out, they get to the apartment, and then we find Wilmon. He made it. Our guy made it.
Guy Wilbon.
I couldn't believe he just yeah, that guy he's got some force attunement, man.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
he's being
dude.
protected by the force somehow.
Yeah, this guy Wilmon is a crazy character who I'm very surprised he made it this far. Very surprised
Same.
he made it this far.
I mean, in the first episode, I'm like, nah, he's gonna die. Like he's dead. Um, and to be honest, so far we have okay, Cyril's died. All
Yeah,
right, but other than that,
we
we
lost
haven't had a.
Brasso at the beginning of this.
We did lose Brasso, so Brasso, yep, Brasso's out. That hurt. Cyril's out now. Um, but other than that, I don't think anyone major
Yeah, I mean a bunch of Gormans.
died.
Who cares?
Well, I'm talking about like mostly characters from season one, a bunch of Gormans.
There's a bunch of Gormans. Who cares? Oh, real quick too. Uh, I don't. They don't really sit on it too long, but the first two people to get blasted after the guy in the memorial are two women. They just get cocoon, cocoon right there. So I was like, dang, they're really just killing everybody. Even
I didn't even notice that.
the sniper following people, and just
Oh my
like that was
gosh.
visceral
Yeah.
as hell. And then the
He, like,
freaking
misses the first
K2S,
time and then
the K2S droids.
oh, yes, the
Actually, we
KX
didn't
droids.
talk
Oh my
about that,
gosh.
or the KX droids,
They're
just grabbing people and
did you
tossing
hear
them.
the story of what they had tried to plan with the KX droids
No,
originally?
uh,
There was I think it was Tony Gilroy's brother who wrote a lot of it
mm-hmm.
too. I think he was talking about how they had this whole episode with oh my gosh, who's Cassian's friend? I'm forgetting names now.
Elshi?
He's there when they're yes. And someone I think in Vel, and I think Cassian was there too, where essentially is a whole episode that was a tribute to Alien with a KX droid
Oh,
on
that's
board a
great.
ship, and like it would have been like a horror episode,
Yeah,
and they were all in on it until like late in the stage, like
yeah, it doesn't
we
feel.
can't do this, like it just won't fit in. But I still love to see that,
Dude,
of
it felt
just a
like
KX
that.
droid.
It felt like
It
Terminator.
did. It was crazy. It did feel like Terminator.
Yeah.
They were when they went out there, yeah, you it was intense. And I don't know if you've played the Jedi Fallen Order game,
Mm,
but
fighting him, yeah.
those droids are pain.
strong, man.
fight, and like it feels like, man, they were just, yeah, Terminators is the best way to put it, like you said.
Yeah, especially
Carrying
when
through everything.
like running through the street really freaked me out, and they're just like boom, boom, and it was funny because they showed the K2 droids or KX droids in season 1 when he before he goes
Yeah.
to Narkina, and I felt like this is the first. And to me, when I watched this, like it felt like the first time, and how dangerous they were, even more
Yeah.
so than like droidicas or super battle droids. Like they were very imposing, and
Yes.
then them just picking up people, throwing them, and there's people getting tossed in the background, and people hitting walls and picked up and slammed. I'm like, it could have been
I mean, that
way.
first one, I think it's the woman who gets thrown and she just goes flying and just hits the
They
ground
stay
dead.
with that scene, right? There's like
Yes, they
barely any
do.
cuts at all, and I'm like, oh no, she's dead.
Yeah, same. I was like, okay, that's a big throw, but then they do let you sit on her face, and it's
Yeah,
like, not, but like, and she's just dead eyed,
yeah, gone.
and it's great.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think the massacre in the way of surprises was more surprising than everyone just getting up. And to me more scary.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you're
I
gonna
mean,
sit
yeah, I
K2 or
expect
KX
everyone
trades
to
on
get shot
people.
up, but yeah, when they came out,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
that was
It was crazy.
um yeah. I don't. Are we at the part where we want to rate these?
I think so.
Yeah. So what would you rate these 3 episodes, 7, 8, and 9?
And this is my problem. I should have stuck to my guns because we talked, especially after the show. I talked about how I never give anything a 10 because what if that 10 comes around?
Yeah,
And I'm like, I was like, I convinced myself there's nothing wrong with these 3 episodes. I love everything about these 3 past episodes.
yeah, yeah.
They're awesome. So I will bump my 9 or 9.5 up to a 10. But how can
Okay.
I have a 10 when this week would be an 11? Like this is beyond a 10. If last week was a 10, for me this is greater. I guess you can have two tens.
Yeah.
I could officially amend and sign the waiver or whatever that last week will be a 9.5, but I'll stick with a
Stick
10.
with a
This
10
is a 10
as
plus.
well. Yeah.
I think
There's
it's some of the
nothing wrong
best.
with it if it dipped. Remember we
No,
said
no, I know.
last week again, if last week was a 10, this week if it's a 9, it's a 9. It's okay. Right?
Here's my thing. I told someone, I think after they watched it too, and I'm like, I think that when I watched episode 8 and 9 and 7, I was like, this is some of the best hours of entertainment I've ever seen. I
Mm,
loved it that much.
mm, mm, mm.
Um, and I think about the pantheon of great
Yeah,
television episodes, movies, and just like 2.5 hours of entertainment.
yeah,
It's up there for me,
for
very
sure.
high. So I'll give it a 10. What do you got?
I'm at a 9. I'm at a 9.
9 is very high.
And nine's very high. I think I said it enough where it's like I feel like the K2 stuff shoved in because in a midst of a massacre, you wouldn't go, hey, you know what, we should take that droid. Like, I wish there was some kind of like reason besides like, the rebellion, we just pick up stuff and take it, but it just seems so out of the out of character for the moment to go, hey, we should probably grab that droid to maybe use later, this killing machine. Uh hey
I
guys,
mean,
help me
I
put it in the
did buy
car.
that though. I did buy it of like they'll take whatever they can. Like if you're not just gonna let something great go to waste, and they'll take ships and they will, take guns and things like that. So I did buy it, but I do agree that it was the one thing that felt not organic, I
Right.
guess, to the episode for sure. I do agree.
And then my gripe about it switching from the sadness and the sorrow of Bix and then leading right into kind of like, oh, it's a jokey thing, K2, we're gonna turn it on. Like, um to me that just took me out of it. And then my expectation on, but that's those are the only reasons. There's nothing bad about these
And
episodes.
nine is still quite high.
9 is
And
quite
9 is
high.
still
And
quite
I
high.
just enjoy more of the nuance and the narrative and dialogue versus like, complete action in this way. Because the 8 is complete like tension right into. Of course, there's the through lines in the great story. Well, but the focus is the Gormans again. Care about the Gormans, side with the rest of the Empire. It's time.
To a degree, see, I feel you. I feel you.
No,
I don't think for me the focus wasn't the Gormans dying. I think they were just a piece of the puzzle. Like that was part of the narrative, but the real story was Andor, Daedra, Cyril,
yeah,
and
of
like
course.
the rebellion. But I get that, and the
Yeah,
crazy thing is, if like See, now we got a 9 and a 10 here. We had a 10 and a 10 last week. And before that, I think it was like an 8.5 and a maybe I gave it a 9. I don't remember what
Yeah, it
I
was.
gave it
I
in the
think I
first
gave it a
3 weeks.
7.5, and I think I met you at an 8.
Or maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I think that was
I
it.
moved up to yours. Yeah.
Um, these next 3 episodes, obviously we're gonna get Cassian in K2,
Yeah.
um, which I'm excited for, and I'm so curious as far as how this series is going to conclude because
Mm,
they've been very upfront in that it goes directly into Rogue One,
right.
and like they even with the event you're going to next weekend, it's like episode 12 then Rogue One. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one continuous thing. So I do wonder if like it's not going to be a traditional end like oh this is a series finale
Mm.
because like Rogue One I assume is the series finale, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
so is it going to be like a cliffhanger of sorts? Is it going to you know what I mean? Like I don't know that it'd be like oh you can just watch 2 episode 12 and that's like a complete story.
I think
Or is
what I'm assuming, and this goes into kind of like the prediction section.
yeah,
I feel like it'll be like, hey Cassie, we need you to get this talk to this person on Canary. He has information. Like that'll be like Cassian going into Rogue One, right? Meets the dude and oh that's crazy.
what I hope though is I hope that it's not just an end tag. Like they do whatever they're doing in episode 12, and then after that is resolved, then it's like, oh hey, by the way, Cassian, sort of like the K2 thing, where it's like, oh, you need to go to Canary to find this and that. I hope that whatever happens in 12 is directly like related to what he's doing in Canary, so
Yeah.
that it's or what he's doing, so it's more like, okay, this is like the continuation into it instead of I'm trying to think of another example, but you know when there's like a cliffhanger and you know it's gonna happen or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of I can't think of an example off top, but
Well, because
I hope
like
it's more than
Rogue
just a
One leads
tag.
right into New Hope, but it does feel like an ending of a story. So I think there's
Yeah,
enough characters in Andor where we'll get satisfying endings and conclusions, including
I
Luthen,
agree.
Clea, Dedra, like all these other players in this story.
You usually hit me with the predictions and you ask me, but I want to flip it on its head and ask you first. I want to ask you some things.
Okay.
At least one thing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna hit
yeah.
you with one because I'm curious of your answer before mine. Is Luthen and Clea surviving series?
I don't think Luthen does. I think Luthen's end is going to be.
I think it has to be two, just
I think it
because he's
has to be.
constantly talking. I mean, the speech and the things he talks about, and how he keeps going back to like it's sunset I'll never see, or sun,
Yeah,
I'll never see it. And it's like his destiny is to perish before.
yeah. He even
Um,
foreshadows like we're both gonna hang by the Empire. Like he foreshadows.
yes, they bring it up enough that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
he's gonna end up on the island with the Bad Batch or something. I don't know. He's gonna be ending up somewhere peaceful and
Actually, let's do the what we did for Andor season 1. We'll go through the characters. Who do you think's gonna live or
all right,
survive? So, we'll start with Luthen. So I say dead.
dead.
Leia. You asked me first, so
I did.
I'll say she lives.
Something feels uh, I don't know if I'd say poetic, but complete, unfortunately, about them maybe going together in some way.
Oh, interesting.
Um, so I'll say dead, even though in the pit of my stomach, like if you asked me to put $20 on it, I'd say alive. But I do think that there's something there if they both were to go out at the same time, more or less.
Yeah.
There could be something like they're in it together till the end, We'll see.
My counterpoint to that is Luthen's already out doing something where she was in the safe house and she's like, "Oh, Luthen's handling something."
Good point. Good point.
So I don't necessarily think they'll. I mean, they could possibly meet up again, and right
You're right.
now
You're right.
I'm not so. Um,
It's yeah, you're probably right. I'll just stay on counter programming on this one, but you're probably right.
Wilmon, the boy.
He's making it. He's done
He's
too much. He's this guy. If you talk about Cassian thinks he's ran out of luck. I mean, look at Willman, man. You're not even close.
the force healer's gonna try to heal his leg, and she's gonna be like, "Whoa, dude, Cassian was a. I thought the
I
pilot
need
was
your help.
crazy. You're destined for greatness."
Oh yeah, he's gonna end up running away with a girl at the end to Canto Bite to get married and
Mm,
just lose it all. I
Uh,
say he lives.
he lives. Um, uh, 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 had so many people and
Yeah,
I
I
can't
know.
think of their names.
Daedra.
Daedra gets promoted to the Death Star. I still think that's what
I hope so too. Yeah, 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 I agree.
she gets promoted to the Death.
That's what I hope for. Then it gives you a little more, again, just more stakes for that
I think we're not
exploding.
going to see Cyril's mom anymore. I think she's done.
I
Crying
I
thing. It's
agree.
over.
Like I could imagine a scene with her and Daedra having a talk, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I can see that being a scene, but
I have a crazy prediction that was not my own that was shared to me before the season started, but I don't want to ruin it, so I don't want to say.
you tell me
Okay.
off air.
I have one prediction, but I won't say it. I'll
Sure.
tell you. I'll tell you after. Who else is there? Well, Melshi, we already know. Rogue One.
Yep. Vel.
Oh, Vel.
Hmm.
Vel. I can't see her doing because there's literally 3 episodes left. I think in
There
my mind of
is.
like there's only an hour left, right? But there's 3 full episodes left. What else is there to tell? Mon is already going to Yavin, so something has to happen between BBY1 all the way up to
Yep.
Rogue One on Scarif, right?
I mean, I guess at this point we'll probably be in some war. You know, like there's gonna be a larger scale
You think there's another
thing going
battle?
on. Well, I don't know necessarily that there's another battle per se,
Yeah,
but I do think that it's going to be more like things are happening. It's not like an underground thing anymore. People know there's a rebellion and like the rebels are fighting the
yeah.
empire, I think, you know,
I
to a
think Vel
degree.
survives this.
I agree. I
I
agree.
think
I'm
somehow
on that side too.
Vel is not like as tragic it would be to well, not tragic, but like I feel like it's too easy to go, hey, this character lost love, thus they'll die. Very similar to
Yeah.
most characters. I think she's going to be an integral part as someone you go, oh, they're still somewhere here on Yavin, very similar to Raven, who's there. Donna, right? He's a New Hope. She
Yep.
mentions him. So I think Vel survives. I think she's still in Yavin, kicking a can around with all the cool people.
I agree.
uh,
We got anyone else?
this is got our Ferrix crew.
I think yeah.
Everybody?
Oh, uh, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Imperial. He's got to die, right?
Fairgast?
Um, no, he's working for Luthen.
Oh,
Um,
Lonnie. I thought about Lonnie and then I forgot. I think Lonnie survives.
think he gets out or
I
he
think he
stays.
gets out. I think there'll just be like a quick scene.
Doesn't he have a family?
He does have a family.
Maybe they all.
That's why I think he gets out.
Yeah,
Because he suffered too much working for ISB, and there's no one like who
yes.
sniffed him out. Once Luthen is gone, there's no.
I don't know. Maybe Daedra has some sort of storyline there with him
That would
once he's
suck, man.
back.
I would feel so bad for.
I know, but you know,
I mean, it would be kind
I
of cool
mean,
if
we're gonna
Krennic
skip.
sniffs him out from the whole art room
It's gonna be a
thing.
year too, so who knows what Daedra is at in the Empire at that point. She would have definitely gotten she's
Yeah.
probably gonna be up, you know what I mean, at handling the Gorman thing. So
Lonnie's death would actually sadden me more than the Gorman.
well, me too. I don't know the Gormans
Yeah, you
personally
know,
like that, you know, Delani, we've been together. We've been through some stuff.
we've been in many elevators with Lonnie, given top tier information. Um, yeah. There was another not prediction, rumor online or theory online that Luthen is still like Jedi. Do you buy that theory?
No, I don't. I
I
don't at
kind of
all.
hope not. It doesn't. Like, why?
Yeah,
It's
I
not
don't
needed.
and it also feels like everything he does doesn't align at all in any way with the Jedi. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I just don't see that. Uh,
Doesn't.
and I feel like, what are you gonna do? He's gonna be in a sticky situation the last 3 episodes, and he's gonna, no, 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 I was not here. I'm not Axis, and like or whatever.
Pulls out a
And
lightsaber for some reason. Yeah.
I
Um.
mean, stranger things have happened, I suppose, but I hope not. I don't see it.
Uh, do we get more Saw in the next three? We have to, right?
Yes, I think for sure. For sure.
Well, do you think we get?
No.
You don't think we get Felicity Jones in any way? Jyn
I don't
Erso,
think so. It would be awesome.
Galen
I just
Erso.
don't feel like I think there's a better chance at Galen or so than
Okay.
Jin or so. Because I'm trying to think, when did he leave her? You know, he left
Oh,
Jin
that actually would have been a long
like
time
she was
ago. Yeah,
younger.
young, young.
Um, but I think there's a better chance at Galen. Also, just everything that Tony Gilroy's ever said makes me feel like him making Luthen a Jedi would make his skin crawl.
Oh, for sure.
like
Yeah, yeah,
like it
for sure.
just
It doesn't
that
sound like his
idea just
style at all.
feels like no.
Like adding a
Um
Force healer, he was probably like, "This person really doesn't know anything about the Force, so I don't know if we."
you could just touch his shoulder and you know.
um.
Um
Uh. Uh.
no.
I was hoping
What do you think?
Felicity Jones. Well, how long has she been away out of the Partisans? Because like she got
Didn't he
arrested.
leave her at like 15 or something? Like she was like a teenager.
Yeah, I not.
She's probably I'm sure she's definitely already left behind. Yeah, it's been years.
But then I guess out of the Rogue One crew, we're not gonna. Oh, a Bodhi Rook as an Imperial, maybe.
We could see Bodhi. We
Yeah,
could see
the pilot.
maybe didn't yeah, we could definitely see him
Yeah,
with
because effects.
yes. Maybe he's there with Galen. I don't know. But I think it'd be cool to check in Krennic and Galen scene, you know, and somewhere there. I think that'd be cool. I think it also
Or
I can see it.
Lonnie. I
I can
would
see
say a
that.
Lonnie could also be a Lonnie Krennic scene, the Bodhi scene. That would be.
Also, Daedra could be working under Krennic pretty closely at this point. If
Mm,
she, you know, he picked her out of all those people
yeah.
to handle Gorman, she handled it, and so I'm sure she's rose up the ranks. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I'm really curious to see where she's at, because I know her story's not done. We've got
Yeah,
3
yeah. We have
episodes, and I think she's gonna have a heavy hand in it.
not gonna turn rebelish.
No, 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 no,
Villain,
no,
no,
no.
no redemption arcs for the Imperials.
Absolutely. I think Tony Gilroy is not following the rubric of does heinous things, somehow turns the last minute. Like she's about to die and then realizes her wrongs and it's like, "Oh no, actually, I'm going to shoot someone I don't know." What if Daedra think Daedra turns and shoots Lonnie thinking she's thinking she's shooting an imperial, you know?
That would.
No.
Um. Last question.
Yep.
There a dollar amount that they can convince? Do you think it's in the
I've thought
cards
about this a lot.
where they can bring the savior of Star Wars back?
I've put a lot of thought into this because he said he's done. He's spent enough time, 10 years in this, and he's not like everybody knows he's not like a Star Wars guy. He didn't grow up, he didn't have Star Wars bed sheets, all that kind of stuff. Like so many people work on it. But that could also very well be a bargaining play to try and get some more money. I am Is there a dollar amount? Probably. Because if you think about okay, yeah, I don't know how old he is, but he has been working in Star Wars for a long time now. Um, but I mean, what's another 5 years? If they want to pay you a ton of money, then you can finance whatever the hell you want. Um, I would love that. I don't know if you have anything in mind, dream wise, if he did come back to do more, what that would be. Um, but yeah, I think it's possible. I just if I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. I think he's probably done. But yeah, I think there's
They
there's always a
probably
there's always a
are right.
dollar amount. I feel like there's so much going on in Lucasfilm right now that nothing is who knows what's gonna be the case in 2 years. If Kathleen does end up having a succession plan, um, and who's that next person that's going to be there, and then what kind of projects do they like, and who knows? Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
I think there's conversations, but I want it to happen, but I don't know. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he just seems like the guy that once he said his piece, he's done. You know, move on to other things. And I am excited to see whatever he does. I mean, he's great. So whatever he does next, I'm sure it'll be awesome.
He's
Um,
gonna be able to write whatever he wants to write, whatever he wants to do. Inside Star Wars,
produce
outside
whatever.
of Star Wars is gonna be amazing. A lot of awards to everybody for the show. You could tell that they made something special here.
I hope so. I hope it gets some recognition. You just never know. You just never know. You could be fantastic and then doesn't get a single nomination. Crime, I say, crime.
Well,
But I hope so.
he'll definitely get an award from the Raincore channel from us if we
Yep.
do our own award shows at the end of the year. I know you could totally
We
do it.
sh- we should do an award show. I that's a great idea. I should do
Write
at
that down.
least an
Write
award
that
show.
down. Award show. But let us know down in the comments what your prediction is for the final 3 episodes of Andor season 2. It makes me so sad we're coming to the end of this crazy, crazy ride. But Eli, I want to thank you so much for being here on this longer review. Clocking
Yeah,
in
yeah.
around an hour 20. Where can people find you?
Find me at the Fan Awakens everywhere. Find me at Uncle_Steve on Twitch. And find me here next week.
You can find me here as well on the Raincore channel and on Instagram under Raincore and on Instagram under Parade Rainer. All those links will be in the description. It's going to be a wild week of Andor. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned here. Subscribe, like this. It really helps us out. And think about how this will affect Mandalorian and Grogu coming up next for Star Wars as we leave Andor. And
Hey, I'm excited for that, but we'll
it's going
see.
to be moving. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But thank you guys so much again. And that being said, hope you have your 100 Chewie.